So you can do the intro.
Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee Talk with Nate and Julie once again. This is episode 16, I think it is.
Sweet 16.
Oh, Sweet 16. Yeah. Did you have one of those?
Not really. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think I did. Guys don't really have one, do they? Yeah. So episode 16 of Coffee Talk with Julie and Nate. Here we are. Yeah, it's been another week. And I decided to go with a San Francisco theme for Julie.
I love it.
I'm still not big on the virtual backgrounds, but I'm over the color that I had, so I need a new color.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, the background, it works. And it's really nice to see the Golden Gate Bridge and sunset.
Somewhere that's outside.
Yeah, and you know, coming to you from my bedroom again, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. So you said just before we got on that you had a couple things to chat about today.
Yes. Well, there were, I think, a couple of questions in the group also. So maybe you can do
Take a quick look at those.
Digging to find that. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up is something that was really a cool revelation for a lot of people in the guided transformation class that I'm doing. We're halfway through, and on the second day, step 2 is about dissolving the past and then like writing down some things, what your issues are with your partner, or what your issues are, whatever,
Okay.
with whatever you're breaking up with, whether it's the old self or whatever. And it was really interesting to see how much of our points of view about what was wrong or what the other person wasn't giving us were things that we weren't willing to receive. We weren't willing to have for ourselves.
Okay.
You know, so we're pointing the finger that direction, but you know, they always say you point the finger this direction and 3 fingers are pointing back. So
right.
It's just so true. So when we have a point of view like that, it creates, first of all, a projection on the other person, and it creates separation. It creates judgment. So you can't have that closeness and connection that you say you want. So when we destroy and uncreate it, that's one way to clear it, but also looking at what the point of view is, and is it actually true? When we're basing our life on a lie, we can't really create, you know, on stable ground because it's a lie. Right. So it was just really cool to see, like, somebody said they don't want to bother their partner about something. Okay. And it was like, oh, is that really her point of view? Is that his point of view? And then he has this point of view that he doesn't want to bother her about stuff. And she realized, oh, wow, like we're both thinking that the other person's going to be bothered by me asking for something instead of asking and seeing what they say.
Right.
So stuff like that. It was just really freeing and, you know, empowering to know that if you'd actually really like something and you work on yourself so that you're willing to give it to yourself,
right,
then other people can follow suit.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really interesting to look at, like, all the places where, you know, you're kind of treating yourself badly, or you're not treating yourself with the kindness and nurturing. I mean, one of the things that has come up in class before I've heard people being asked is, you know, if you treated your friend the way you treated yourself, would they want to hang out with you? Would they want to be your friend? You know, like all the ways that you're judging yourself, all the ways that you're like limiting yourself, the way that you talk about yourself, right? So
yeah,
if you treated someone else like that, or if someone else treated you like that,
right,
you know, like you wouldn't stand for it, but for some reason, if you do it to yourself, it suddenly means it's okay.
Yeah. But it's also, if you treated your pet let's say you have a pet dog or cat, if you
Right.
treated them the way you treat yourself, your body, the dog or cat would run away. So, like,
Yeah.
if we don't treat ourselves, our bodies, with kindness and nurturing, it's really hard for anybody else to.
Right.
And then you put it on your partner to be the one to nurture you, but you're not even willing to receive it from yourself. So
Right.
it's just a really tricky situation where it's a conflictual reality or a conflictual universe. So you can't actually create anything out of it. It's just
Right.
not
So what do you recommend for someone who has this awareness or realization, like, oh, actually I'm projecting this on someone else when actually it's my own deal?
Well, there were several tools that we talked about. I mean, one is POC and POD and the access clearing statement that clears those points of view, which is amazing.
Right.
Another thing that was just really interesting is recognizing that it wasn't their point of view. So I had them write these things down and ask, okay, is this mine, someone else's, or something else? And a lot of time it was someone else's, whether it was their partner or their partner was picking up from someone else, you know, that whole domino thing all the way back to
Right.
the beginning of time. And that was amazing. And the lightness that appeared instantaneously, it
Nice.
like melted all the points of view just by recognizing, oh, wow, that's not even my point of view.
Right.
So there's that. And then there's everything's the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing's the opposite of what it appears to be.
Yeah.
So whatever it takes, whatever tool you use to melt the situation is the tool to use.
Yeah. And that's also a great reminder. I thought of this just a couple of days ago, is, you know, the same tools that we learned years and years ago are still the same tools that are the most useful in just day-to-day life and interaction and everything. You know, like, who's this belong to? Interesting point of view. I have this point of view. You know, how's it getting better than this? All of the basic questions are still the basic questions. And
it's just really funny how when you learn it in a class and it's like, here are all these tools, it's like going to Ace Hardware and learning this is a drill and this is a rasp and this is a hammer and this is a saw and, you know, blah blah, and you're like, great, I have all these tools. But then you go to build a house and you have no idea what to do. Right. So with these specialty classes, you learn how to use the tools to create what it is that you're looking to create. You use them in business for the business class, and you wouldn't have necessarily thought of that. Right. So each one of us who uses the tools in our particular way, it's just so enlightening to see the millions of different ways that you can apply them and how to get into that awareness. It's not even habit, it's really awareness, like, oh, what tool can I use here to create something different?
And like you said, it's also really fun to explore all the different ways that you can use kind of the same tool. Like, you could use, who does this belong to, in a relationship situation or in a business situation or in a, you know, money situation or health situation, your body situation, right? Like, in probably the first year I started taking access classes, I was taking them with, well, I mean, there were a couple people in Korea who were taking classes, and I was walking with this one guy one time, like through the subway tunnel, and suddenly my leg, like, really started hurting, my knee. That was weird, like out of nowhere. And I just turned to him and I was like, hey, does your knee hurt? And he's like, yeah, my knee like really hurts. And it was one of those, now hundreds of times, where I just, like, when you're aware and you're willing to be aware, you don't have to own it. You can say, like, who does that belong to? That was just a brief
That's occurred with me when I was playing tennis. You know, I'd be hitting the
Mm-hmm.
ball back and forth with a friend, and then somebody else would come onto the court, and all of a sudden, my knee or leg or something would hurt. And had I not been aware enough to ask, I would have created a problem.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, oh, wow, is that mine? Someone else's? And then it's like immediately your awareness goes to way across, you know, 3 courts over.
Yeah.
This person. It's like, oh, return to sender, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
And
so fast, like you said.
It's like sometimes you can actually create a difference, but you have to ask the question, because sometimes they're not willing to receive it. So like your body gives you the awareness, it doesn't mean that you need to fix it for them. So that's a really big thing to know.
Yeah, a lot of people are actually attached to their pain, if that, I mean, it doesn't make sense, but they are. You know, there was a coworker that I had who like sprained her ankle, and she was on crutches like 3 weeks longer than the doctor said she would have to be, because when she was on crutches, everybody carried all her books for her, everybody opened doors for her, everyone paid attention to her.
Yeah.
They didn't ignore her. They were helping her and nice to her, because no one was nice to her. She was kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
But suddenly she's on crutches, and so she managed to sort of string out a sprained ankle, all the while complaining about how much she hated it and how sad she was.
Of course.
Right? It's such a weird contradiction. Like, oh, if you hate it so much, then why don't you just get better? Because you don't want to admit that you're loving it, right? Because you're not supposed to love a sprained ankle and crutches.
Well, everybody says they hate the things that are their problems.
Yeah.
But we mostly love them, and we're just not willing to admit it to ourselves. You know, if we just ask, what do I love about this problem? It's freaking weird and twisted in our head, but it will come to your awareness, and then you'll realize, oh, wow, I love being taken care of, or, you know, I love being the center of attention, and this is the only way I think I can get it. Then you can pocket pot it and change it.
Yeah. Yeah, that one hit a little bit too close to home, because I've
what problems do you have, Nate? Let's facilitate some change.
Well, I just been looking at my like living situation, and like I moved from like a really nice place in a different city to a really tiny place in Seoul, but for some reason it has this sort of romantic feel to it, like, oh, like starting out in like a gritty, not so great place and clawing your way up from, you know, it's, I don't know. And plus, like, look at how old I am. This is like a 20, it's
in a different way.
What? Really no, like the, no,
I'm sorry, continue.
No, it's all right. You've heard of that. Like anyway. Yeah, so just looking at like, what is it that I like about this? And it's sort of the, nothing's been handed to me, kind of like I've earned it all. And then anywhere that I go from here is going to be all to my own credit, in a sense. Right. And so as much as I hate it, and as much as I looked at this other apartment that looks amazing and I'm super excited about it, it's a $2 million apartment. And, I'm not quite there yet. We'll give it a couple months.
So this is what I suggest with people who are, you know, wherever they're at and they're wanting something greater, is indulge that, like go in and look at open houses and stuff, and like be in the space and feel what it feels like. Because I know for me that if I'm in a place that isn't expansive for me, I don't create out of the pressure of, you know, oh shit, I got to get out of here. I create much better in this like beautiful opulent space.
Well, and that's been another great awareness to come to, is how much your space is a contribution, because a lot of people are unwilling to invest in their space because they're like, oh, it's not worth it. Like nice furniture, that's so silly, just go to IKEA or whatever.
Yeah,
But
they
when you're
call it materialistic or something, but it's
right, yeah, when you're in that nice space and when you have like a nice desk to sit at and you have space and you can look out the window, like, yeah, that really contributes to creation and ease and joy. Like, yeah. So, um,
it is true. And like wherever I've lived over the last decade that I've been, on my own, not married, um, I've chosen places that are more expensive and more expensive. And it's like, oh my God, can I even do this? And somehow
yeah,
I make it. I don't know how, I just do.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to choose it for the lightness and the expansiveness, not the how
right.
much it costs
Yeah.
per se. I mean,
Yeah. And choose it and then ask what it's going to take. Right. Like,
yeah,
all right, that's what I'd like. That's what's going to contribute. So what's it going to take to be there? And not going into conclusion of the linear calculation of how to get there. Like, all right, I save this much money every month and then I need to get this much money and I get a loan for this percent. Like, it's a lot of linear computation, right? Instead of saying, what would it take? And then having somebody who knows somebody know that you want to live there and it's their second house, but they're busy and they're out of town. I mean, whatever. Like, be willing for the possibilities to show up.
that's engaging with the magic.
Yeah.
It's like by doing linearity, we avoid the magic of possibilities.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I mean, when I look at, yeah, there's so many things that have shown up for me, just from showing up and being me and not having it. I mean, there was years and years ago in when I was in the US and I went out for drinks with a couple coworkers. So they had met this girl on the highway. I know it sounds weird, but this is before cell phones and like they like flirted with a cute girl on the highway. She pulled over, got a number. We met her for drinks. She brought her coworker boss who had drinks with me. And then he was like, this isn't really an interview, but I'd love to have you come down to the office tomorrow and like give me your resume and see what we can do for you. Because he liked the way I was just like hanging out, chatting about work over drinks.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even looking for another job.
Right.
So, stuff just can show up if you're willing to choose what's light in the moment, which can be, like in that case, having drinks with your coworkers who are crazy potheads that met a cute girl on the highway. Like, it's weird, but
that's fun. I like it.
Yeah,
Serendipity. But like people think serendipity happens to you instead of that you're a part of the co-creation of it.
Right. And you've asked a question and you've made a choice.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Serendipity it's a result of a request that you've made and choices that you've made, and you've been aware enough to be in quote the right place at the right time, which is just being you and following the energy, really.
Yeah. And I think that's part of why people are reluctant to choose that, because they see other people taking risks and blindly jumping. And it's not about blindly jumping. It's asking a question and following the energy. It is following an awareness. You just don't know what exactly it is. However, you know that it's going to expand your life, not contract it.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like building that muscle of trusting you and trusting your awareness of the energy, that when you choose something, you're not blindly jumping into
right.
total mess.
We mentioned there were a couple things mentioned in the Facebook
did you
group.
See there was
I did. So we have a comment from Cindy, and I know Cindy, so I can give her a hard time about there not being a question mark anywhere in the comment, but I'll read it. It says, when you make a choice, and then get in your head about choosing something different. The doubt that follows that choice that seems so clear at the moment. So yeah, you make a choice. I'm going to read into this, I guess, but you make a choice that seems light. It's out of awareness. And then you kind of backtrack and try to defend your choice with reason and justification that you can't do. And so you begin to doubt that original choice from awareness. The doubt that follows the choice that seems so clear at the moment. So you're kind of in the moment, and then you make the choice, and then you can't justify it and begin to doubt your choice. And
so
then
the number
Julie
one
said,
tool
next time we'll address this.
Yes. The number one tool for addressing doubt is?
Give Julie a call and say, hey.
Doubt is a distractor implant. It's designed to distract you. So you pock and pod all the shik-yu, the secret, hidden, invisible, unseen, unsaid, unacknowledged, undisclosed, and covert points of view. Pock and pod. Get rid of that. And then ask, what do I know? And I get it. Sometimes it's really hard to not have a point of view about these choices that we're making.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing to do is to phone a friend and say, hey, I have choice A, choice B, choice C, mix them up and ask me,
which one feels
which one will create the most, A, B, C. And you go with the energy, and it's really cool how you are aware.
Yes.
When you're not thinking and trying to figure it out.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do with people, it's when there are two choices, is to flip a coin. And then when you flip the coin, it's not about the coin result. It's about your response to the result.
Right.
Right. So if you're like, heads is go to dinner and tails is stay home, and you get heads and you're like disappointed, it means maybe you should stay home.
I want to go.
Right. So yeah, that's a fun thing to do, because it creates an awareness that you could choose to have anyway, and you're not letting yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's funny.
It kind of bypasses that.
I do that at my jewelry store. Like if people can't decide between, two pairs of earrings or two necklaces, I'll mix them up behind my back. And part of it is the fun and the play of it. And they're so like serious and trying to figure out what's the right. And I'll mix them up and I'll go, which hand? And they'll go this one. And if they're like, oh, then they wanted this.
Yes. That's the best. That's the biggest point right there.
And they're like,
absolutely.
Oh. So get out of your head, get into the play. Yeah. And if you need to, engage with somebody else who doesn't have a point of view about it.
Right. And the other thing I think, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, if somebody has a point of view about it, like if me as the store owner had a point of view about what the person, like they should choose the more expensive one, like that's not going to give them awareness. Well, it'll give them your awareness of what you want. So when you're
not going to feel light to them.
When you're choosing a person to facilitate you having your awareness, you want to choose somebody who can be an observer and not have a point of view about it.
Right.
For you.
Yeah. And also, I mean, it does come a little bit with practice of realizing that you can't think your way to like the right decision. And when you start to get thinking involved, it becomes more decision and less choice. But then the other thing is also, choice is temporary. And so if you make the choice and it's light and then you doubt it, take a look at the choice again. Like you're allowed to choose and choose again and choose again and choose again. But once you kind of wallow in the doubt, then you begin to question your awareness and you question your knowing, and you doubt yourself, and that undermines sort of future choices and awarenesses that you might have. So it's a good practice to acknowledge when you do know something and then stick with it. So yeah, hopefully that helped out Cindy. And Cindy, when you see this, if it did not, please follow up or jump on next time. But Gloria also posted something later, It says, when you have many possibilities, how to know how to choose? That's the first question. And then there's
I don't
another.
know how to choose. You just choose.
And choice creates awareness.
And what
So
if
you make the choice. Right. Yeah.
So let's do this clearing. Everywhere that we have learned that you can only choose one thing or focus on one thing or you can't have it all, let's destroy and uncreate all of that and open ourselves up to infinite possibilities.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pocket bottle line, shorts, boys and beyond. Yeah. Yeah. But also the question sort of feels like there's a difference between choosing when you have two possibilities versus choosing when you have many possibilities. And it's not a different choice. It's still a choice. So regardless of, she says when you have many possibilities, how to know how to choose, it's the same thing as when you have 2 or 3 or 4, or you have 300. Like, you just make the choice, follow the awareness, follow the energy. It's the same. It's just choosing regardless of how many options there are, in a sense.
Another thing that came up in my class last week was, if I make this choice, what will my life be like in 5 years? But we expanded it even further. We're like 50 years, 500 years. And
right.
Because when you go out 500 years, it doesn't make logical sense.
Right.
But you get a totally different awareness.
Yeah.
So you can look at each one of those options and expand it out 500 years and see which energy is more what you like.
That's another great tool. There are so many tools. Was that the drill, or was that the router? There's
so many. Which is the right tool to use?
Ooh. And Gloria did have another super quick question, which is easy to answer. She said, can I make a free Facebook class as I'm not an Access facilitator? So if you have taken a choice of possibilities class with Access, then you are what's considered a CMFW, and then you are allowed to do introduction classes on topics for up to 4 hours. And there you go. But if you've taken a choice of possibilities class, then there will be information in your follow-up email about that. You can order a CFMW certificate on the website as well. And you can start to put together introduction classes. You cannot facilitate a bars class unless you're a bars facilitator or certified facilitator. You can't do a foundation class. And there are a couple of topics that are sort of, they're not allowed, and except for a few special people, like an abuse class, stay away from that. I probably would stay away from animals initially, but the general introduction classes would be like money, relationships, sex, bodies, things like that. So if you are
anybody who's stupid enough to listen to you,
yeah,
that's what we ask for. People who are stupid enough to listen to us.
Yes. Do not ask for all the people who want consciousness to show up at your class. That is going to give you not a very large class.
Why not? Oh, right.
Yeah. So you're going to ask for all the people willing to pay me money to listen to me talk to them and ask them questions.
I think Gloria wants to do classes on money because she's got lots of different information and points of view about money that's really worked for her. And
I thought you were going to say she has lots of money. I was like,
and lots of money, I think. I mean, because before she was saying that, so many people have problems with money and I don't have a problem with money. So cool. If she's got some information, like, go for it, share it. You do a free thing on money, I'll listen. I'm stupid enough to listen. I want to know what you know, girl.
Yeah. So if you've done that, you can start doing those, no problem at all. And we are out of time already.
Oh my gosh. That was so quick.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. I did want to say thank you very much to Cindy and Gloria. Always nice to have questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hey, if anybody wants to have a hot seat on this, where we get to facilitate anything that you would like, send us a message, and we'll schedule it out in one of our future ones. Hot seat.
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah, that would be great. Cool. So you're off again to your next activity?
Yep, I'm doing my expanding thing, and gosh, I've got a big week full of things. How about you?
Actually, end of the week is the Relationship Done Different class with Simone and Brendan, which is pretty exciting. I've been to both Simone and Brendan's classes individually. I've not been with them together, and I have not done a Relationship Done Different class either. So I'm very excited about doing that class. It starts 10 a.m. Australia time, and it's from 10 to 3 Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So probably going to be like your nighttime.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited about it. They have, I think, 4 or 5 languages being translated now.
Wow.
So it's going to be good. And
well,
I mean, this is
tidbits from it for our next episode.
That's right. I'll be taking notes. I'll show up on Monday and be like, here's the secret sauce from Relationship Done Different. Yeah, but this is, I mean, they're now not a couple anymore, and they have a book and they're facilitating relationship classes. So interesting.
That's funny because when I got divorced, we were talking about facilitating relationship things too for a little while. But
the two of you.
I just wanted to tell people what to do. I like the whole facilitation thing. Whatever.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It is what it is. I think it's amazing that they're doing that. And
yeah,
just because you break up doesn't mean you can't be friends and create. So that
is Relationship Done Different. Like that's probably that's like the definition of it.
It sure is.
Yeah, have an 8-year relationship and break up and keep having classes and facilitating and writing a book and talking about how amazing each other is. Like that's doing it different. Yeah. So yeah. So I'm excited about that. And
I'm gonna run.
Okay. I'll see you later.
I'll see you next time. Bye everybody.
Bye everybody. Thank you.